Oh shit. Here we go again.
But it doesn't compare to like being a Patriots fan in Brady's prime, or being a Chiefs fan in Mahomes' prime, or being a LeBron fan, or being a Steph Curry fan, or a fucking Dodgers fan. So if you get 2 in 1 year, fuck you.
There's got to be some. There's a catch-22. Oh yeah, sorry. The Reds will be starting up after this.
Yeah, the Reds will win 12 games this year.
Yeah, that's
a good trade though.
I would trade that.
Because it's not like the Reds are not competitive anyway usually. So
they're like, yeah, if you want to win them both, the Reds got to win 0 games. They got to go 0-160.
Oh shit!
Big deal.
I mean, I would still take that.
Yeah, deal.
I would still take it. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph. I'm one half of this amazing podcast. I'm here with my boy JD, Philly fan, diehard Eagles, Philly Green. Today we're going to review the conference championship games, and we're going to do a little bit of Super Bowl preview. And we're going to talk a little bit of the Jaguars' new head coach, Liam Cohen, first impressions. I know we all saw the Duval. We all saw that. And then we're going to talk Dallas promoting Brian Schottenheimer to head coach. Like basically they didn't even do a head coaching search.
Yep.
They just took the lazy way out and decided to go with their offensive coordinator. And then the New Orleans Saints have yet to hire a coach, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about my Cats, a big win over Tennessee recently. Talk about the big game tomorrow coming up against Arkansas. And then I guess we'll finish with a little bit of baseball. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball by signing all of these prolific, up-and-comers? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and then we'll get out of here.
Yes, sir.
So I guess we can start with the NFC, since it was a blowout.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you were a little bit nervous going into this game, and I think everybody thought that this was going to be a closer game than it ended up being. I mean, the Eagles just came out, dominated. 55-23 was the final score, and it was really never in question. From the very first play from scrimmage for the Eagles, Saquon Barkley had a 60-yard touchdown run, and it was pretty much game over from there.
Yeah. It was, I mean, the closest it got was 14-12 at one point. And then and the next time Jaden touches the balls, it's just 27-12, and it's like, all right, we're good.
And it was just a case of the Commanders shot themselves in the foot too many times, and the Eagles just took advantage and capitalized on every opportunity. And you can't do that against a team that is as well-rounded as Philly.
Yeah.
They're going to make you pay. They're just like the Chiefs. They're going to make you pay if you make a mistake. I will say, even without the turnovers, I still think Philly dominated this game. Even if you take out the turnovers, the Eagles still would have came out on top by a significant margin. I mean, they dominated the run game, had 7 rushing touchdowns. What did it tie a record for NFC Championship?
It is the record.
Or it broke the record, set the record.
Yeah.
So that's insane. Saquon Barkley had a huge game. Jalen Hurts had a huge game. I mean, y'all were firing on all cylinders, like from start to finish. It was a total ass whooping. And you know, for what it's worth, the Commanders, I mean, hey, it was a great season. Can't ask for anything more than, especially Jaden Daniels' rookie year, to make it to the conference championship. And you know, it wasn't the result that you would have hoped for as a Commanders fan, but you can't be too upset about the way it played out. Just you gotta take care of the ball. And I feel like it was a case of a young team that was just inexperienced, that hadn't been in this situation before, and they kind of just choked a little bit.
Yeah, I think, like we said prior to and last week, we were saying, you know, this is a young team. It might be, you know, they're not ready for this situation. And it showed more so when the game got to a point of, like, you're not going to catch up. They kind of just, you could tell guys were like, all right, this game's really off the table. So now the Eagles are going to put it away.
Yeah, it was like the water broke, the dam broke, and the floodgates just opened, and it was to the point of no return. I mean, there towards the end of the fourth quarter, whenever Philly put their backups in, I kind of felt sorry for the Commanders for real, because it was just like nothing they did was working, and you know it is what it is. I mean, personally I thought the game would be a little bit closer than it was, but I feel like the Eagles, it almost has like a team of destiny type feel, or like I don't know. From the way they performed throughout the playoffs, it's almost like an Ohio State type feel, like where it's just like, dude, nobody is going to beat this team. They like each week it's just a buzzsaw.
No, I agree 100%. It's kind of like the path is there. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like what's that movie I'm thinking of, where they go and see the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. It's like all the Eagles are coming together, and they're gonna go see the Wizard of Oz, and it's Patrick Mahomes, and who's really behind the great wizard, the Wizard of Oz. So it's like our
Andy
destiny
Reid
coming together. Andy Reid's behind the veil. Pull back the curtain. Who's really the mastermind here? It's the NFL refs.
No, I thought it was cool though. After the game, did you see that clip of Zach Ertz going over to talk to Fletcher Cox after the game? That was kind of touching.
Yeah,
two old teammates getting together.
Yeah, I feel for Ertz, and there was in the presser after the game, him talking about, he's like, man, it would be dope to be, 22 years old playing with Jaden, but he knows, like, I'm on the back leg of my career, and he still put up a hell of a season. I mean, he was a staple in that offense.
I think he's gonna play again next year.
Yeah, I think so.
He'll probably play for like the veteran minimum or whatever. But
yeah,
that's a huge compliment coming from a veteran.
Yeah, somebody who's won a
player,
Super Bowl.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody who was at the height of their game. He was considered, a top 5 tight end.
Yeah,
receiving wise, and yeah, that's big coming from him. So like if I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
There's been rumors, speculation going around that Tyreek Hill is Washington might be a landing spot for Tyreek Hill or one of these free agent wide receivers. Yeah. And so absolutely, if I'm a free agent wide receiver looking to join a contender, somebody who's going to be good for the next 5-10 years, I'm definitely looking at Washington real hard right now, because they have a quarterback who is showing signs that he is going to be a staple in this league for the next decade or so. Yeah. And, to be fair, though, we'll see what happens next year, because you look at like what happened with C.J. Stroud. There's a whole year of game tape on you now, and this is a brutal league that coaches, defensive coordinators are going to adjust, and they're going to build a game plan against Jayden Daniels. So, is there going to be a sophomore slump with these rookie quarterbacks? We'll see, but the future is bright nonetheless.
Yeah. That division is bright. I feel like
the Cowboys are just getting left in the. Well, I mean,
yeah.
New York Giants are good, or New York Giants. They're just brutally bad. They're awful, and I feel like Dallas is kind of being left in the dust by the Eagles and the Commanders. So I feel like it's just going to be kind of a leapfrog type deal with these two teams in the NFC East, because unless Dallas can figure something out.
I think Dallas is the bottom leg of this whole thing. I think the Giants have the pieces. All they need is a quarterback, for real.
I don't know. They're very, very bad.
Yeah, their defense is pretty good. They put up.
Their defense is all right, but they only.
I can't say nothing.
They only won 2 games this year.
Yeah,
the Giants. Granted, I mean that could be partly because they were tanking, try to get Shadur or Cam Ward or whatever, but. We'll see what happens there. I feel like they're gonna. I mean, they have to draft a quarterback. There's no other option. You have to. You have the top. What is it? Do they draft first or second? I think
Browns are first, right?
No, I think Tennessee is first.
Tennessee, then Cleveland, and then Giants. I want to say.
Yeah, perhaps. So. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with New York, but. Commanders and Eagles are definitely the two competitors in that division.
The only thing I didn't like about, obviously it's fantastic that we won this game. It was the ESPN flip on Jayden Daniels. I feel like, which this has been brought up all this week, but the idea that Jayden Daniels is this MVP caliber player. He's been playing like an MVP, and then the moment he loses, it's like, oh, congratulations, Eagles, you beat a rookie quarterback. And don't do that. Don't do that. Don't play that game.
Well, I mean, that's the way the media is, especially sports talk media. They got to make their headline. They got to make their hot takes. They got to make the headlines. They've got to say something inflammatory to get people talking about it.
Yeah.
About
gets the.
So I mean, I don't feel like
yeah,
it's not fair to do that to the Eagles. I mean, but it's also true.
Yeah.
He is a rookie quarterback.
I believe. I mean, I understand.
I wouldn't say he was MVP caliber. I would say that he's rookie of the year.
Yeah,
which is fair, but I mean, they made it. You don't get to the conference championship without beating a few good teams. They did beat Detroit, and they did beat Tampa Bay. So both teams that have a top 10 quarterback, if you count Baker Mayfield as a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's not like Jayden Daniels hasn't taken down, went head to head with some of the best quarterbacks in the league and won, come out on top. So
that's fair. Before we move on to this next game, I know I brought this question up before or made this statement, but the Eagles go on to win the Super Bowl and Saquon has another 100-yard tutty game. Is this the single greatest running back season of all time?
I think you can put it up there, but as far as, I mean, you could probably say since the 18 game schedule, for sure. But to me, what the running backs did 30, 40 years ago with only playing 13, 14 games.
Yeah.
Eric Dickerson running for 2,100 yards or whatever it is and only playing 14 games. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So it's just a different. I guess it's different era. You can't really compare. It's apples to oranges in a lot of ways. But I will say that he has been the most electric running back, I feel like, since CJ2K.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson. I mean, that was,
that boy. Chris Johnson used to be a freak.
I mean, we haven't seen, outside of maybe Derrick Henry, we haven't seen a back that is so combustible. He is a threat to take it to the house every time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a player have a season like that in a long time.
Yeah. Where he could just, any touch could be a home run.
Right. And it doesn't matter if he's, if it's a handoff, if it's a toss, if he's going out in the flat or going out on a route. If he touches the ball, he could go all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very dangerous man, and I feel like that has been the difference all year. Like, you look at Philly last year and even the year before when they went to the Super Bowl. No disrespect to DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott and, those running backs that did it by committee. But they just don't hold a candle to what Saquon Barkley has been able to do behind arguably the best offensive line in the league. I mean, I say arguably, but I think they are the best offensive line in the league. So it's just like night and day, the run game, whenever you have whenever you have to do it by committee but in comparison to when you have that workhorse stud in the backfield that you can just turn to and hand the ball off 15, 20 times a game and know that on at least 3 to 5 of those carries, he's going to break 20 plus yards at least.
Yeah. It's definitely a game changer. It takes us to the next level.
And it takes the pressure off the quarterback. It takes the pressure off Jalen Hurts and allows his game to open up and allows him to be more fluid with the ball and try to spread the ball around instead of run the ball twice. Now we're in 3rd and 8 and we have to try to get the ball to Devontae Smith or AJ Brown or something. And last thing, Dallas Goedert has been the premier receiver. He has gained the most receiving yards throughout this playoff run. So I think you have to at least mention his name whenever we talk about the Eagles' attack.
Yeah. He has put himself in a forefront.
Right. He's going to be in the conversation for contract negotiation this offseason. And that, I feel like that's the strength of the Eagles as a whole. Like, we haven't really mentioned their defense as much, but their defense is
gross.
Lights out as well. But they're the most well-rounded team in the league. There's no really weak spot in their makeup. And so I feel like that is their strength is they're so well balanced when it comes to rushing the ball or rushing attack versus passing attack. They don't do one or the other too much. If one is not working, they can always flip to the other one.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be a great game coming this next Sunday.
I know. I'm so excited.
February 9th.
I'm excited and nervous all in the same breath.
Yeah, I mean, you have good cause to be nervous.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get on to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
The game that everybody wants to talk about. The controversial. Yeah. We all saw it coming. The refs cheated. It's rigged for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, blah, 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 wah, wah, wah. I get so fucking sick and tired of hearing it. It is what it is. Okay. The Bills had their chances.
Yep.
They couldn't convert on a 4th down. Hey, I'll be the first one to say you can't tell from the replay if the ball crossed the plane of the first down line,
right?
Line to gain or not. Literally, you can't tell. You can sit here and take your screenshot and draw your lines and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe the refs couldn't see this." But that's part of it. It has to be conclusive. It has to be definitive, absolute replay proof that the ball crossed. And the way Josh Allen's body was turned, you can't tell where the ball is when his progress was stopped. So and that's not the only controversial call that happened. I mean, we can go through them all, but I feel like that was the biggest one
that's the one everybody's talking about.
Yes. Yeah. And so, it is what it is. They ran the same. It's not even a tush push, really, because they're not pushing Josh Allen forward. He's taking a step back and going to the left or whatever. And so it's not even technically a tush push, it's a quarterback sneak. And they ran that play over and over, and the Chiefs were able to anticipate it and stuff it. And so is it possible that maybe the Chiefs just had a better counter to what the Chiefs or what the Bills are trying to do? Is that possible? Or does it have to be that the refs just wanted Kansas City to win? Also, the incomplete pass that could have been a touch or could have been an interception or, whatever. It didn't matter because there was a flag on that play anyway.
Yep.
Okay, it was going to be defensive holding. Granted, that's only a 5-yard penalty, but it is an automatic first down.
Yeah.
So Kansas City is probably getting points in that possession anyway, no matter what. And, if you look at it, it's very hard to tell, again, conclusively, the ball hit the ground, but was his arm underneath it? Was the defender's arm underneath it? It's very bang, bang play. So another situation of I don't think it's rigged. I know I know you think it's rigged. And 75% of the people out there think that the refs give the Chiefs too many calls. But I'm just tired of hearing it. The Chiefs are the better team.
Yeah. I'm not as deep into it's rigged conversation for the NFL as I have been in the past. Because people could also say it's rigged for the Eagles, It's like we're back again, you know what I'm saying? We could be getting calls too. But there is a lot of instances where it seems favorable for Kansas City. But it's just because they play tight games, close games. There's always eyes on them, millions of eyes watching Kansas City Chiefs games. And fucking at least 50% of them are hate watches. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like they're just watching to be hateful.
Exactly. You're just looking. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're just sitting there waiting, looking for any little thing to be like, oh, see, they're cheating. They're cheating. So, okay. They don't even know. What a loser-ass mentality. All right? Yeah. I'm a Falcons fan. We lost to the Chiefs on a bad non-DPI call. But do you hear me sitting here saying, oh, the Chiefs are cheaters? No. The refs missed one call. That doesn't just make the rest of the game null and void because they got one or two calls in their favor. Did the Bills have to go for it on fourth down when there's 3.5 minutes left or whatever it was? No, they could have punted and played defense. Have a little faith in your defense. It's not Kansas City's fault that you ran the same play twice in a row and got stuffed.
No.
So
I think people are going to have an issue when they're asking for all of these, cameras and other people to step in and overlook these plays. And then they realize, like, I don't know, there's actually a flag on 90% of every play. Literally. And then they're going to be like, this is just college basketball.
But that's the thing. You can call holding. You can call pass interference pretty much on almost every play.
Every play.
You can call, hands to the face mask. There's always something going on that the refs are not going to see. So it's hard to be a ref, especially at that level. I mean, the game is so fast. It's hard to, even with replay assistance, it's hard to get it right. Yeah. So people did the same thing with the Patriots. People hated the Patriots for 20 fucking years, and Deflategate, Spygate, Tom Brady gets every call. You can't touch Tom Brady. They change the rules, every time he gets hit. Well, but still, even now, people are like, I'd rather watch the Patriots than the Chiefs. It's like, that's just recency bias. You're just saying that because you don't like Patrick Mahomes, or you don't like, Taylor Swift or whatever.
Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes, that's great. You can cheer for Philly and cheer for the downing of a dynasty. What a Super Bowl that would be, to knock off the three-peat. You know what I'm saying? Cheer for that instead of cheering out of hate. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy the Super Bowl. It's the last football game of the year.
Exactly. And people who say, "Oh, I'm not watching the Super Bowl," you're either one of two things. If you're either a liar because you are going to watch the Super Bowl, you don't go, especially if you're like a football fan like we are, and listeners of the podcast, it's like, you're going to watch because you've been watching all year. It's not like you're just going to skip the last game of the year because you don't like a team that's in it. So either you're a liar, or if you're a football fan and you really don't watch this game, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
You're a crybaby loser who needs to go get his diaper changed, because that is just total nonsense. You're not going to watch the biggest football game of the year because Patrick Mahomes gets every call. That is such a loser ass mentality to have. Like, stop it. Get help. You need to get a life, because that is just sorry.
Sounds like something an NBA fan would say. Go watch some basketball.
Sounds like something. So, I mean, I guess we can go ahead and do our preview Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this ever since the games ended, last Sunday.
It doesn't end. You just think about it the whole time.
I'm not a Philly fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. So I'm coming in unbiased, but I guess I am a little bit biased because, you're my buddy, and I have a couple buddies that are diehard Eagles fans. Shout out Josh. And so, like, it would be cool to see the Eagles win. And there's a lot of things that are in their favor. A lot of things. But at the end of the day, it's so hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I mean, especially in this spot, going to their third Super Bowl in a row. Because Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes is going to make he might not make every read perfect. He might turn the ball over. He might make a mistake here or there. But when the chips are down and it's crunch time, he makes every single play he needs to win the game. He might not score a touchdown. He might not even throw a touchdown. He might not throw for 150 yards. But whenever it's 4th and 3 and he needs to roll out and get that 5 extra yards to put him in field goal range, he's going to do it. If he needs to lay the ball out and put a defender in a bad position and draw a penalty, he's going to do it. So I've been going back and forth all week, and it only gets tighter the closer it gets to the game. So the thing for me, for Philly, Saquon Barkley is the X factor. If Saquon Barkley has a good game, the Eagles will win this game.
Yeah.
If Kansas City defense is able to stop the run, stuff the run game and force the Eagles to pass the ball, I feel like that's more in Kansas City's favor.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that coin, like we talked about earlier, the Eagles defense is nasty. Yeah. And so it's going to be a very tight game. Yeah. Neck and neck, whether they score points or whether there's just field goals or whatever. I don't feel like this is going to be more than a field. I think it's going to come down just like the first Super Bowl they played. It's going to come down to a field goal.
Yeah, whoever's got the ball last, pretty much.
Pretty much. And because these are both two well-coached teams, very disciplined. They've been playing at a high level all year. And it's just, this is what we wanted, though. We wanted the best of the best. That's what you want in the Super Bowl. You don't want a lopsided, 6-point favorite coming into the Super Bowl. That's not what you want. So it's going to be, I feel like we're going to get one for the ages, just like the last two Super Bowls have been.
Yeah. And if we look back to when they played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, it was an absolute banger of a game.
That's what I'm saying. It was nuts. Came down to one play.
One of the greatest Super Bowl performances and a loss by a quarterback, Jalen Hurts, just coming up a little short. I just feel like this is like revenge. This is what they put together.
That's another thing that makes me think Philly, because it feels like they're more hungry.
They've been fighting for this.
They lost the Super Bowl, then they lost in the first one. They played a whole nother season, started off 10-0, fell to 11-5, lost in the first round of the playoffs. So they've been waiting, 18 months, 20 months to get to this point.
Just been lurking.
Right. And now they have the best back in the league. They have two of the best receivers and a tight end who is absolutely balling out, and a defense that is rock solid. So it's like I said, it just gives me that vibe of, if any team was going to do it, it would be the Eagles. There's no other team in the league that I feel like could beat the Chiefs in this spot.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Chiefs don't have a lot to play for, trying to make history, going for the first ever three-peat, trying to solidify their dynasty as the next dynasty after, Patriots. And so it's going to be an interesting game. And I feel like if you go down the checklist, let's just go down the checklist. All right. Let's go. We'll start quarterback.
Mahomes. He's got
to go Mahomes.
He's got the resume.
Okay. Defense. I think you go Philly.
Right.
Defensive coordinator.
You got to go
Spags. But defense as a unit, I feel like you go Philly, especially secondary.
Yeah.
Head coach.
Andy
I think
Reid.
you got to give a slight edge to Reid. Yeah. I like Sirianni, but I feel like Andy Reid is just,
he's Andy Reid,
arguably the best coach of all time.
Right.
Second to Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Receivers.
I feel like that's Philly.
Yeah.
Running back, Philly.
Yeah.
Kicker.
O-line. The kicker.
O-line, Philly. Kicker, I feel like that's Kansas City.
Yeah, Butker's money. Elliott's been off, bro.
He's missed a few as of late. He has. Yeah. He has been. He's historically he's solid, but he has missed a few as of late.
Yeah.
So I think you go Kansas City. Kicker. Special teams. I feel like that's more of a wash. I feel like both teams have a.
Good special teams.
Yeah. Shipley for Philly. He's the returner for Philly. He's really good. And then I can't remember the guy's name for the Chiefs. But he's had some pretty good returns in the postseason.
What was his name? I don't know, but he had a big one last game too.
He's number 81.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He's good. We got some good
Remigio.
Yeah.
Nico Remigio.
Yeah, that boy.
Yeah, he had four.
He can break one.
He had 4 returns for 107 yards. So I mean, both kickoff returns are dangerous. So this is going to come down to. I feel like it's going to be another barn burner, just like the Buffalo game was. It's going to come down to a game of inches.
Yep.
It's going to. I feel like it's going to be everything that we could want. Whether Philly wins or loses, whether Kansas City wins or loses, it's going to be one of those games where it's like you look back on it and it's like, damn, that was a hell of a game. And it's easier for me to say because, like I said, I don't really have a dog in the fight.
It'd almost be too sweet to have the Buckeyes and the Eagles win it both. Like, what are you prepping me for? World, universe, God, what are you prepping me for? Huh? Trying to get my hopes all up and hype and Well, you better drop a bomb on me.
If Philly wins, obviously Ohio State's already won. You'll never get another championship. This is it.
That's probably it.
This is it. So better enjoy it.
Would you accept those odds to have your college team and your pro team win the championship?
Yes, because most people don't ever get to see one. I'm lucky in the fact that I got to see Kentucky basketball win back in 2012, but that was fucking 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't made it back since. I mean, we've had some good years, but we haven't been close recently.
Hey,
let's face it. I've seen one World Series. I've been kind of lucky. I've seen the Mets made the World Series in 2015. Yeah. The Falcons made the Super Bowl in 2017 and literally practically had the game won.
Yeah.
And
won the game in 3 quarters.
Yeah, if it ended in 3.5 quarters or 2.5 quarters, then we would have won.
Yeah.
The Bulls have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I've been relatively lucky as far as
some good instances.
But it doesn't compare to like being a Patriots fan in Brady's prime, or being a Chiefs fan in Mahomes' prime, or being a LeBron fan, or being a Steph Curry fan, or a fucking Dodgers fan. So if you get 2 in 1 year, fuck you.
There's got to be there's a catch-22. Oh yeah, sorry. The Reds will be starting up after this.
Yeah, the Reds will win 12 games this year.
Yeah, that's
a good trade though.
I would trade that.
Because it's not like the Reds are not competitive anyway usually. So
they're like, yeah, if you want to win them both, the Reds got to win 0 games. They got to go 0-167.
Oh shit,
big deal.
I mean, I would still take that.
Yeah, deal.
I would still take it.
Deal. Ellie De La Cruz did get cover athlete for MLB The Show 25.
Nice.
So there's a Reds win there.
That's a plus. There's something to. Even though he's probably going to play for the Dodgers in 3 or 4 years. Anyway, I know obviously you're taking Philly.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a bet. I'm going to put a big, I don't know what amount of money yet. It's going to be at least 100, maybe more. I don't know. And I'm probably not even going to place the bet until 5 minutes before the fucking game. So at this point, I'm leaning Philly though. I really am. I've convinced myself. I've talked myself into it. I feel like Philly it will win this game. But then again, there's that little voice in my head that's like that little creeper voice that just just in the back of my mind, like, yeah, Philly's got all it going for him, but Mahomes, he's inevitable. You know it.
He's like Thanos, bro.
He's inevitable.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, he has gotten beat in the Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
Granted, that was
by a great defense.
That was by a great defense and Tom Brady. So
that defense though had him moving in and shaking.
And the Chiefs' offensive line that year was severely banged up, and they weren't good to start with, and they were banged up. Had injuries all across. So, I'm not making excuses, but let me facts. With that being said, right now I'm leaning Philly. I guess we're going to record next week. We'll see how I feel.
Final prep up.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel in a week. But right now, I'm thinking Philly.
Yeah. I got birds, obviously. I need it. Just bet our entire rent on the Chiefs. Okay?
Do that. And then you can't lose.
Yeah.
Because, hey, if the
Eagles win or I make a bunch of money.
Or yeah. There you go. And
then the price of Philly winning was just rent, and I'm okay with that.
And you can make that back. It's just money. You'll never get, the Philly in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, this will be my second one in a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe don't do the rent. Maybe
because I might be back here in 10 years.
We'll see. It's going to be a hell of a game. All right. Moving on. What do you want to do? You want to talk Cats? Let's talk a little bit of Cats basketball.
Yeah, they've been doing all right. Tough loss you guys had though against Vandy. Vandy was a shaker.
Vandy, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this team. We're kind of inconsistent, and I feel like I was saying before we started recording, when we go up against a team that is more physical than we are, we get bullied. Whenever we have a good shooting night, we're one of the best teams in the league. So I feel like it's so up and down. We look like one of the best teams in the nation, but then again, we'll look like we'll get beat by, Georgia. And no offense to Georgia, but they're not that good. They're just not. And so we've got more quad one wins than the ACC combined, but we've also lost to 1, 2, 3, 4 unranked teams, or they were unranked at the time we played them. So it's like, I don't understand. We just beat a top 10 team in Tennessee, but the way the season is gone, we'll come in tomorrow playing Arkansas and lose that game. So I hope to God not. I hope we beat the brakes off of them, but that's going to be one of the biggest games of the season for us. But I don't mean to be too negative. I am up on this team. I like this team. I like the players. I like the energy. I like the vibe. I like the coach. I feel like I said, whenever we are shooting well, our team is different. Yeah. We're not the type of team that can overcome a bad shooting night. There are certain teams that can do that, but we're not one of them. We need Jackson Robinson to hit. We need Kobe Bryant hitting. We need Ainsley Almanor to give us quality minutes. We need Andrew Carr to give us quality minutes, get to the free throw line, knock the free throw down. We need him to stay aggressive. We need him to get into the rack, pulling up, whatever. But the biggest key to this team is Amari Williams, the 7-foot center, graduate transfer from Nottingham, England. Whenever he has a good game, last game he had 15 boards and 4 assists. He led the team in rebounds and assists as a 7-foot center. Whenever he plays well, we usually win. Against Texas A&M, 12 boards. We win that game. Against Mississippi State, 12 boards. So we go as he goes. If he can hit the boards, stay out of foul trouble, play within himself, keep his emotions under control, then we will more than likely win the game.
Yeah.
And that's our, and the thing about it is we don't have any superstars. We have a lot of studs.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, we don't have anybody that can we don't have anybody that's going to night in and night out just take over the game and close it out. But we do have guys that have the ability to go off. Lamont Butler for 33, Owe for 20, Jackson Robinson for 27, Kobe Bryant for 20, 23 actually was his career high. So that's our weakness and our strength. We don't have as much talent as we have had in the past, but we are also a stronger median unit. We have a strong median. Our floor is right here and our ceiling is way up here. It's not. I feel like in the past there was so much disparity between floor and ceiling that you have lottery picks, but then you lose to St. Peter's or you lose to Oakland in the first round. So I like the way the season has gone so far. Like I said, we've got Arkansas coming in tomorrow, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Homecoming for John Calipari.
How loud are the boos going to be?
I feel like it's going to be a mixed bag. I feel like there's going to be some boo birds, but there's going to be some people that cheer. And I mean, honestly, you got to give the man some respect. He did a lot for this program, and it sucks the way his last 5 years. It sucks the way that he left our program, but he did bring a lot of talent through our doors. He put us on the map. Well, he didn't put us on the map. He brought us back.
Yeah.
He brought us back from obscurity because there for a while, UK basketball was abysmal. And, I mean, he did bring us a championship. So it's not like his time in Lexington was all bad. I feel like it's just the way that it ended left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was one of the biggest advocates to get rid of Calipari. You know, I wanted him gone. And now that he's gone, I don't want him back. I'm glad he's gone, but I'm thankful for what he did for our program. I'm not bitter about, you know, the way it happened.
Yeah.
It was amicable, I guess you could say. Yeah. Good word.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a mixed bag tomorrow night. I think you guys might hurt their feelings.
That being said, I hope we beat the absolute dog duty out of them.
We win by 25. Right. How bad of a look is it, though, if they knock you guys off tomorrow?
That's awful.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be... I'm in one of the worst Facebook groups on the internet, and it's called Pope's Cats, and it is so bipolar in that freaking group. Like, I've thought about leaving so many times just because there's so many just absolute dumbass people in that group. A lot of it's rage bait. A lot of it's just, you know, trying to get people pissed off. Comments. But like, there are legitimate people in there that are like, we should fire Pope. We should, every time we lose, when are we going to get an actual coach in here? It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's his first year. We beat more top 10 teams this year than we have in the past 5 years. So, like, shut the fuck up. We're not... This team is not built to win every game. Pope said that in the beginning of the season, before we even started playing. He said, hey, I know Kentucky has high expectations, but we're not going to win every game. But I can't guarantee you this. We're going to play hard the entire game. We're going to be in your face. And so far, he's kept his word. Have we had some letdowns? Sure. But that happens. It's not about you gotta move on. We got next game. The season is far from over.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, you guys are, I feel like, leaps and bounds better than you guys have been in the past.
I feel like there's just hope now. Even when we lose, there's still like I can look forward to the next game. Before, in previous years, like I said, the last 5 years when Calipari was there, when we lost a game, I was like, "Fuck, we're not going to win another game in the whole season." That's the way it felt, done. You know.
Yeah, year's done.
And so, I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. We'll just end with that.
Yeah, tough conference, good team. You guys will be fine moving forward. Big game tomorrow. Hope you guys win. That's a good Cats segment right there. It's a good team. It's a good team. Be proud of it. Oh man. Duval.
All right. Yes, we have to talk about that. I went to do this before we ended the NFL, but so Liam Cohen. First off, let's just talk about how he turned down the Jaguars job first to stay with Tampa Bay. He was going to become the highest paid coordinator in the league. And then like 2 or 3 days later, he ends up accepting the Jaguars job. Okay. And then he goes into his first media day as head coach, and he has one of the most cringiest. It was like there was multiple clips throughout the day of him just being so cringe. And I know people have probably seen the one of him doing the Duval, because it's been played over and over and over, and it's just already become like it's taken a life of its own. It's already a meme, you know. And it's like the first time I seen it, somebody had shared it and put in a quote tweet, Jaguars 0-17. So it's like Already.
I seen the quote tweet. It was like, so same place, same time next year.
Yeah. Already like, people are dogging him.
We're gonna do this next year.
And so
how does he get his eyebrows to move like
that? I don't know. And it's honestly creepy the way he's yeah, I think he's just a quirky guy.
Yeah, I think so too. No hate.
He probably is a great coach. I mean, he coached at Kentucky. He coached at the Rams. He came to Tampa Bay. So he's been around the league. He's been around a lot of high-level football. So he knows his stuff. Now, the question is, can he get grown men to buy in to what he's selling? Yeah. And that is yet to be seen. But it is kind of ironic. Like I said, he had that whole spiel about being honest and having a clean process and integrity and knowing that's where growth occurs or whatever. It is kind of ironic that he, like I said, turned him down and then 2 or 3 days later took the job anyway. So
yeah,
kind of shaky ground if you ask me, talking about integrity whenever that's the way it started. But hey, who knows? It's Jacksonville. Anything can happen.
I just think Jacksonville's a death sentence for any coach. For real.
I feel like it's not a bad spot, really. It's not a bad place. They have a decent roster. They have some good young players. Now, do they need to get better defensively? Yes, but I mean, you've got Brian Thompson Jr., you've got Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, Parker Washington, Evan Ingram.
Yeah, and it's not like they don't have weapons.
Yeah,
but their offensive line probably not the best. Their defense probably not the best. So it's going to take time, but I mean they have potential. They're not the worst. It could be the Saints.
Yeah,
you could be going into an aging roster, a defense that is old as dirt. No quarterback. So, I mean, what is it? Spencer Rattler is the quarterback right now. No real, threats outside of Chris Olave.
And Olave don't even want to play there.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, he's gonna need paid.
Alvin Kamara. I mean, you've got Alvin Kamara, but he's getting older now, and he's not the back that he used to be.
Their defense is old as shit.
So, I mean, they have been pursuing Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for Philly, who he had his second interview with the team. So it looks like he is the front runner for the New Orleans job right now.
I just don't, and I know I brought this up too, I don't understand the thought process on doing the interviews and prep up to a Super Bowl when the basic fan knows nobody wants that job. And if they do take it and it's not you, odds are it's going to be open next year.
I just think that, I mean, if you put yourself in his shoes, though, he was a coordinator for Dallas for a couple years. He went to Philly. I feel like he wanted a head coaching job last year, but there really wasn't any interest in, he might have interviewed for a couple jobs, but nobody wanted to hire him. So he ended up going to Philly as an offensive coordinator. And I mean, head coaching jobs are in the NFL is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You can't guarantee. I mean, look at Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator for Kansas City for years and years. Yeah. And he was supposed to be the next great head coach. Under Andy Reid's tutelage, he was supposed to go on and get all these offers, head coaching offers. But we see how that panned out. He ended up not getting hired. He was the offensive coordinator for Washington last year. He was with UCLA this year. He wasn't even the head coach there. He was the offensive consultant or I don't know, something. Yeah. But they ended up firing him. So I was like, man, when the opportunity presents itself, you have to jump on it.
Yeah.
And should he have waited until after the Super Bowl? Yes, I can agree with that. But if it's there, people wait their whole lives for this type of opportunity. And yes, it's one of the worst rosters in the league. But the good thing is they play in the NFC South. And, it's pretty much neck and neck with Tampa Bay and Atlanta right now. So there is opportunity for growth.
Yeah. Oh. I'm just more mad because we got a Super Bowl to worry about, bro. Like, let's focus on that. I get what you're saying, though. It is once in a lifetime. It's a big opportunity. And who knows? Maybe this is a great opportunity for him. Maybe he comes in, cleans the house, starts fresh, gets the Saints front office to buy in on starting all the way over or something. So everybody. So everything.
Very possible.
Accumulate draft picks.
All right, Dallas, they ended up promoting Brian Schottenheimer to head coach. He was the offensive coordinator this past year. I don't know much about him. I mean,
me neither.
Dallas, Cooper Rush did look pretty good in a few games this year, I will say.
I just think Cooper Rush is a serviceable quarterback. That's all it was.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple 300-yard games, and they did beat a few teams. That being said, I just don't believe in Dak, man.
No.
He's a great guy, man. Like, you listen to everything that he says, and a great leader, great guy. But I just feel like on the field play is just he's never going to be good enough to get them over the hump. He's never. I mean, Jaden Daniels is already better than him, and he's only played one season. I feel like everyone can agree to that. And Dak is the highest paid player in the league. So I just don't know what I feel like Dallas has really handcuffed themselves with all this money that they paid Dak. And I don't know, CeeDee Lamb's situation.
And they paid CD. Well, they already paid CD.
Yeah. And I don't,
they paid Dak.
Now they don't have a running back. I guess Rico Dowdle, but
I just don't feel like he's big enough to be a long-term option. You know what I'm saying? He's a little back.
Yeah. But I mean, so is Kyron Williams, and Kyron Williams has been great for the Rams. But I mean, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Schottenheimer, I mean, his dad, Marty Schottenheimer, you remember him? He coached.
Yeah.
He coached the Chargers for a while.
Yeah.
He was a coach in the league for a long, long time. So he comes from a football family. That's good. But I feel like this is one of those situations where it's Jerry flexing his ego, stroking his ego, and being like, I don't feel like bringing in one of these other head coaches who have their own preconceived notions about how we're going to run this team. I want, Brian Schottenheimer, who I can just tell, just like Jason Garrett, like, hey, this is what we're doing. And if you don't like it, I can just get rid of you,
Yeah.
And it's like you said in a podcast before, I don't think the Cowboys will be relevant again until Jerry Jones relinquishes control and lets somebody else run that team. And that's never going to happen as long as he's alive. So,
yeah. At this point, why doesn't Jerry just walk down on the field and coach a team?
Because he's got too much money. He don't want to be down there on the field. He wants to be up in his little, suite.
Yeah. Watching somebody else. So somebody else he can blame.
Right.
That day.
So I feel like the Cowboys are just gonna be stuck in the mud until Jerry Jones dies, pretty much. I mean, not to be too morbid, but I mean it is what it is.
It's the truth.
Last thing, Pete Carroll, Las Vegas. What do you think? I feel like he's a little bit old, especially to be starting over with a new team.
Yeah.
But if any 78-year-old had the energy to do it, it would be Pete Carroll.
I just don't know. That it's a great organization to want to be rolling into. Right. Now with Tom Brady and their move, And like they could have some money kind of opening up and moving around. They got a good draft position. I don't know. If I'm Pete Carroll, it's more or less anything a reason to be in Vegas.
Party it up.
And party it up while I'm still
I don't really know if he's 78, but
72.
72, that's still pretty old for
the oldest NFL coach in the
league.
For
a head coach.
I
think he'll do all right. I think if they can get a quarterback, that's the key in today's game. You have to have a fucking quarterback. You cannot play with. It's not like in the past whenever you could have a Trent Dilfer or a Brad Johnson and win a Super Bowl. Like, that's not cutting it. You have to have a solid quarterback who's going to be able to make you plays down the stretch. That's just the fact of the matter.
So congratulations, Vegas. I've always got Russell Wilson.
Fuck, they're cooked if they do that. Pete Carroll won't last 2 years if they do that. But I mean, I like Pete Carroll. I've always liked him, even going back to the USC days. So I hope he does well. But we'll see what happens. All right, last thing, we'll talk a little bit of baseball. All these signings by the Dodgers, there's been some conversation around, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? That's by stacking their team the way that they have. They just won a World Series. They have arguably the best pitcher or the best hitter and the best pitcher in the league. They've signed multiple young up-and-coming players from overseas and in free agency. They've got over $1 billion invested just in the roster alone. So it's like this. That becomes a question: has baseball become just whoever spends the most money, like it was 100 years ago? Whoever spends the most money wins the World Series. Is that the way it is? I mean, look, the Mets just signed Soto for $700 million, whatever, $650 million, whatever it was. Is this the way of the future? Is it going to continue to be this way?
This is the way that it will be until the next CBA, which I think is next year. And that's just, baseball is a cheater's game, right? It's a game of stealing, pretty much. What can I get away with? Chess matches. And the Dodgers have figured out a way to make the money work in a way that is good for everybody.
Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. They're just saying, hey, we'll pay you a few million up front, and then we're going to defer all your payments 5-10 years down the road.
You're set for life. What's
but
better?
Whenever your team is worth, I don't even know how much it's worth. It's one of the most valuable sports franchises in the world. I think Dallas is the number one value. Yeah. I think LA Dodgers is right there in the top 5. So, like, when you've got that type of long money, you can do that. But whenever you're a team like Cincinnati, small market team, Colorado Rockies, St. Louis, Milwaukee, you don't have money like that where you can just say, hey, we're going to pay you $700 million, but we're going to give it to you down the road. We can't, so it's just like, I feel like it's just such a bad thing for the competitive nature of the sport.
Yeah. I think the only reason that it's even an issue for people and the competitiveness is because they're not the first people to do it, right? We've seen it with Bonilla. We've seen it with Griffey with the Reds. We've seen it in baseball, but they're taking it and they're stacking it among an entire roster. They're basically saying, we're going to win right now and hopefully not fuck ourselves for the next 50 years.
Yeah, as long as everybody can stay healthy, we will be in the running for World Series for the next decade, at least.
Yeah. And that's the price you want to pay? All right. Well, when all of these deferred payments hit in 10, 15, 20 years, they're not going to have any money to spend, and they're going to be screwed. But These deferred payments, I think, are going to be pushed to a cap. I think we're going to end up with a salary cap. Might even end up with a salary floor at this next CBA. They'll call it competitive, some kind of competitive.
The only
ruling.
thing I have on that is I don't think the players are going to go for less money. These players are loving all these big contracts that all the superstars are getting. Now, the floor I could see, because then your league minimum is going to go up. You're going to have your average Joe Schmo player. They're going to make more money with the floor. But if you put a cap on it, then your superstars are not going to get paid as much. So I don't know that they could get them to agree to, hey, we're going to take less money.
Yeah. Or they could switch it up into your signing bonuses don't have a cap. I don't know how they're going to do it.
But they're the only major sports organization that doesn't have a cap limit.
Well, the next CBA, I think there's going to be like almost a player strike. I think we're going to get shut down from baseball for maybe a whole year. Because this is going to be a long 94, right?
Yeah, we've seen it before.
Long, drawn-out negotiation where baseball has to step up and say, we want this. PA is going to come back and say, no, we don't want a cap. And they're not going to meet until, I'd hope to say, probably around All-Star break, trade deadline.
I just, which, I mean, baseball, for the most part, really hasn't had a terrible problem with, like, people, like, what's the last dynasty that we've seen in baseball? I mean, I know the Giants back maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Giants in the early 2010s, and then before that it was the Yankees in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009.
2000, yeah. The Yankees, and then the Giants won 3 in 5 years. And I think the only repeat folks are the Dodgers of COVID year and this past year.
But I just feel like they're setting themselves up for a run of dominance. Where it's like people are just going to tune out because it's just like, the Dodgers are going to win every year because they're just so loaded. And maybe long term it'll be better for the sport because then it'll force the rest of the teams to stack their roster in the same way. So we'll see. And a good thing about baseball is there's so much left to chance. Yeah. Like you can be bigger and stronger and more athletic in football and basketball, but like baseball,
one mistake,
all it takes is one swing of the bat to change an entire season. So, I mean, just look what the Mets did this past year. Yeah, dead in the water to NLCS runner up. So it'll be fun to see what happens. I mean, the Dodgers, anytime they're on TV, people are gonna fucking turn it on because they want to see Shohei. They want to see what's that pitcher, Yamamoto,
Blake Snow.
Yeah, all these guys.
They got guys. Boy,
well, it was a pretty good show. Pretty good podcast.
That was a banger.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else you want to mention? Any shout outs? Any plugs? Any?
My landlord will be out tomorrow, he says.
Well, that's good. Hopefully the ceiling does not fall in on you guys before then.
Not. If not, or if it does, I'm taking one for the team. And the lawsuit going crazy. We're going to Cancun, boys.
We're getting a new studio.
New studio. We're moving to LA.
All right. If you like the show, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on all the platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, your mama's house, your daddy's house,
Facebook,
TikTok, Threads. X, OnlyFans, all of it.
I'm not on Threads. I don't know. Do people actually use Threads?
I don't know. I've never used Threads in my life. Instagram. I think we're on Instagram too. So
yeah,
check us out. Show some support. We love you all. Thanks for listening. Peace.